What's up? Welcome back to Behind the Bikini. It is it the last one before the new year? I think it's the last one before the new year.
Yep.
Then we go to 2026, and we are on episode 122 this time. And today we're going to talk a little bit about some of the updates that have gone on, meaning like our Arnold lineup is out. The pro list for all of the shows is out. And yeah, we're rolling into 2026 in just like a week here. And it's going to get going off to a pretty fast start with the Fit Body event and all that fun stuff. So yeah, so much for holiday break. But before we get into all that, like, comment, subscribe, hit those buttons wherever they are on your devices. And how was your Christmas?
It was really good. It was just quiet and we did some hosting and we got a bunch of people together at Jamie's house and I made 3 lasagnas and it was really cool. Jamie and I kind of did it together. We shopped together and then
Okay.
yeah, cooked together. So it was fun. It was a good time. How about you?
Because you were in Napa up until when? When did you come back?
I was in Napa till Sunday before the
Okay.
holidays. So we were there Thursday to Sunday. That was awesome. Such a good trip for Drew and I. And then, yeah, we got home Sunday night and then worked for a couple days. And then it was the hustle and bustle.
Yeah. And now we're in that in between time that we talked about in the last podcast where it's like, no, we don't know what day it is.
Yeah,
I said that yesterday. I
exactly.
was like, so we said it's Sunday. I was like, no, it's not. It's Saturday. I was like, right? It's Saturday, right? It's yesterday.
Yeah. Now
It's
you
that
just had me
nebulous
questioning
area.
if today was Saturday.
I know. Like it literally. I just don't. I think once we get past New Year's Day, we'll remember what day it is of the week. I hope.
Oh,
I'm praying.
yeah. Oh, yeah. We'll have that good reset.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, so our Christmas was really low key. When I got to Virginia, we did a few things. Like we went and saw so there's this place called in there's a few different locations. I know it's in Virginia. I don't know where else there, but it's called Alamo Draft House, and it's a like an upscale version of a movie theater. So they have like a bar and they have the reclining seats, all that kind of stuff. So they do a bunch of like special stuff in the holidays, like Halloween time they'll play like old classic Halloween movies, things like that. So they did the same thing this year with Elf, right? So we went to that. It was like the Elf holiday party. So we
That's
like give you
cool.
like little elf hats and stuff like that, and like the whole theater was full of kids, and then like me and Dan. It was like but it was fun because like anytime like the sleigh bells were in the movie, like you had a little sleigh bell to ring, and like we had a snowball fight with blow up balloons and stuff. Like it was silly, it was cute,
That's
it was
cool.
fun, it was a good time. So um yeah, I love going to stuff at that theater just because it's a little bit different than the typical movie experience. You know what I mean? So that was fun. What else did we do? We went to this place, the Gaylord, not Opryland. Opryland's in Nashville. Gaylord, what's it called? National Harbor. That's what it's called. Um, that's up in Maryland, and they do this thing called ice, and it's like a bunch of sculptures that are made out
Yeah.
of ice. And the artists are all like these Chinese immigrants and stuff like that do these big, huge ice sculptures. It was so cold inside there. I was dying. I was like, okay, they give you a parka when you get in there, right? It's like it's like 9 degrees below zero in
It's
the
cold.
thing. It's fucking freezing. So that part was fine. My actual winter jacket was fine, but it was my nose and my fingers. I felt like they were gonna fall off, and I was only in there for like 10 minutes. And I'm like, oh my god, this is so uncomfortable. I'm like, I don't like this at all. So, but I mean, it was cool and everything, but it's not something I don't think I'd do it again. I'll be honest, because I don't think I really couldn't enjoy it. I was just so cold. I'm like, I wish I had like a scarf to put over my nose because it was so cold.
Yeah, I've been in those things a couple times. They're really cold.
Oh my god, it was terrible. Like I said, I'm like, if I had known it was gonna be like that, I would have brought gloves, I would have brought a scarf, all that kind of stuff. Maybe it would have a little bit better. But
Yeah.
like, good lord, Jesus, it was so cold. I was like, I
Yeah,
don't
but
do
they're really
cold.
cool. Like the displays are awesome. And if you can get it too, to where you could see them actually like building them. We've been there a
Yeah,
couple times where I think they were making like adjustments or like fixing them. It's
yeah,
really, really cool to see like how they like tap them and shape them.
yeah.
It's awesome.
And they give you a little bit of the history behind it and all that kind of stuff too. When you first walk in, you can, and yeah, there was a guy that was like sculpting a Christmas tree or whatever while we were there, that kind of thing. So, I also think about that. I'm like, I could never work in that kind of environment. Like never.
No.
I'm like, no, no, no. I'm good. I'm good with the desert in Vegas. We're good.
Yeah. I like cold, but not that cold. It's got to be like a
No,
comfortable cold.
I don't like. I don't like. There is no comfortable cold. Like no, no cold. No cold is good by me. I'm good with that.
You're
Less
talking to the
clothing you have to
girl
wear, the
that keeps
better.
her house 65 degrees all year round. So
That's right. That's right. I need to sleep in cold, but other than that, no.
yeah.
Other than, no. Yeah. But so that was fun. What else did we do? We cooked steaks for Christmas. So we didn't do any like baking or anything like that. So it wasn't I didn't even have any desserts. I was saying that the other day. I was like, I didn't have a single like Christmas cookie, nothing. Nothing.
Yeah.
Not a thing. Not a thing. I had
I can't say
mimosas.
the same.
Like I had mimosas. That was my dessert, mimosas and then lots of fruit and stuff like that. But no, I was like, I didn't have a single Christmas dessert at all this year. Like, all
Oh, I'm
right.
sorry. You should
No,
get
I'm not
one.
mad about it. I'm not mad about it. I'm like, no, I'm thinking about it. Like I didn't want any. That's the whole thing. Like
Yeah.
my tastes have changed so much. Like I had no desire. Like when we went to go get all this stuff for Christmas dinner. Like we walked past the bakery aisle. We're like, bye.
Yeah.
Like no desire whatsoever. So I used to be that girl. I used to be like, I want all of the cookies. I want all of the things. Like that was me. That was my thing, but not anymore. Now I'd rather have like a charcuterie platter and I'm good. Like
Yeah. Those
that's
are
more
good
my
too.
thing. Yeah, we did do that. We did do that. But yeah, other than that was pretty low key. Hung out with the dogs, all the kind of fun stuff. Nothing too crazy. So
Good.
um
Low key holidays are good. No news is good news.
yeah, that's right. That's right. Sit around and smoke cigars and all that kind of fun stuff too.
Cool. That's fun.
So
Yeah.
it's a good time. So yeah, and we're not doing anything for New Year's either. So it's like just chill.
Yeah.
Do
We're
you have any
trying
New
to
Year's
figure that
plans?
out. Huh?
Do you have any New Year's plans or no?
Not right now. We're trying to figure that out. Usually, like we like have people over, but we're just so tired from the holidays and hosting all week, and we've been out with friends the last couple of nights too. So we'll probably just do something low key. Maybe go grab dinner somewhere. Or just go up on the roof here, and
Okay.
the Princess. They always have like a really good fireworks show, which is
Oh,
at 10
okay.
o'clock. And it's just going to be a really brutal work week for me this week. So I doubt it because everybody's starting prep, this week.
Yeah.
So it's going to be probably 12-hour days, Monday,
Yeah.
Tuesday, Wednesday. So probably by the time Wednesday comes around, I'm just going to be looking forward to getting bed early and then, yeah.
Yeah. That and then also the like we were saying the Fit Body Fusion Summit coming up too. That's the final. We were saying Dan and I were saying that. Wow, it's been so nice not have to prep for CCTS this year.
Yeah, yeah, we have our final meeting on Friday and then we have the
Yeah.
walkthrough next week. So yeah, it's all coming to a head, that's for sure. I'm a little stressed, but it's okay, one day at a time.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like what would always stress me out about CCTS too is the final week when like you don't have to worry about this in Arizona weather, like
Yeah,
traveling and all that kind of stuff. Like it was
yeah,
always stressful, like wondering if everybody was able to get in on time, all that kind of stuff, making sure people were picked up at the airport, all that shit. Like that stuff was probably the worst part of that last week.
yeah,
I knew my people would be there, no problem. I knew we'd get everything done. I
yeah.
always do. But like I'm like when you have to coordinate, 20, 30 other people coming in to help, it's like, yeah, it's
It's a
tough.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think our biggest stressors right now are just making sure that we have everything, like all of our packing lists, because Arizona Grande is about 45 minutes from our home. So like
Mhm.
if because Jamie, Greg, and I all live in the same building. So like if we forget something, one of us has to drive almost an hour back. And I have over 25 athletes of mine that are coming, which is absolutely amazing. But I'm a coach that
Right.
weekend. I'm also putting on the event. I'm going to be
Right.
hands on the majority of the time, and everybody wants their time. So I'm only one human. These are the moments I wish I had that cloning machine that I
Mhm.
still try to build. But like I said, one day at a time. I just got to get through January 15th. Then it'll be
Yeah.
all worth it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing whenever, hosting CCTS, people are like, oh, can I come pose with you on there? I'm like, during the posing time.
Yeah.
Like, that kind of thing. I'm like, yeah, you can. When it's coordinated that everybody will be posing, yes.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately for me, like it's cool. Like we're doing it this year where like everybody's going to be able to split up into
Yeah.
groups and to kind of go around in the groups. And one of those groups is the posing. So that
Yep.
was like my original intent was to see everybody in the posing, but I'm going to be giving a lecture at that time.
Yep.
Um, yeah, I'm just going to have to figure it out like I always do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, one way or another, you figure it out. Like I said, I mean,
Yeah.
like something will happen,
Yeah,
where
I'm
you
gonna
can get
work
it.
all day Thursday. I'm just gonna go up to the host, and I have some girls coming on Thursday, and then I'm staying there pretty much all day Sunday too after
Okay.
the event. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm actually gonna drive up, so I was thinking about that too. I was like, maybe I'll stay for an extra day or something and like just hang out or get a spa service or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the resort's beautiful. They have so
Yeah.
much like just hanging out at the resort. It's gonna be so fun, and their pool's awesome too. And it's been really hot here, so everybody
Really?
wearing their bathing suits. Yeah, it's beautiful, but it's hot.
Interesting. So is their pool inside or outside?
It's outside. Yeah, it's got
Okay.
like waterfalls, and
Oh,
it's beautiful. Yeah.
okay. Interesting. I was gonna ask you this because I know we talked about it briefly on one of the coaching calls. But I don't know if it was brought up again or not. But I know that like the gala is like semi-formal, like cocktail wear and stuff like that. Is there anything specific? I know I mentioned about doing a theme or something like that, but I don't think they're doing a theme.
I think it's just black tie.
Like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because well, that's good to know because I thought it was actually just like cocktail style. So black ties
Yeah,
a
I
little
think
bit
they
more.
want like dress up. So
Oh, okay.
that's something else I have to do this week too, is find an outfit.
I was like, damn, if that's the case, I gotta look. I gotta go shopping.
Yeah, no themes, but just like nice. I think it said on the invitation black tie, but I would have to look through.
Okay.
Angela's been sending out the emails about the gala, so
Yeah, I
yeah.
thought I just glanced at it. I did see the email go out. I just
Okay.
glanced at it. I thought it said like cocktail attire or something like that. So, but I could be wrong.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, I'm dressing up. Everybody I'm talking to is planning on dressing up. So
Okay, I mean that's good to know. That's good to
yeah,
know. I might have interpreted it wrong too, or read it wrong or something. But
you'll have no
um,
problem with that. I'm sure you got something in that closet.
hmm, we'll figure out. And if not, like I said, I'm just gonna go shopping. It is what it is, you
Or
know.
that.
But
An
those are the fun
excuse.
parts. Yeah, right. Exactly. Got to do it. Have to. But
Yes, yes.
yeah, those are the fun parts of this stuff. The other stuff is a little stressful. Like, and the main thing is you just want everything to go off right. You just want everything people to be happy and to feel like it was worth it and all those kinds of things. Those are always the thoughts that go through your head as you're planning stuff like this. You want to make sure that your clients and your customers are happy and satisfied and all of that.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. So with that, we got the new year coming up, which means we've got a lot of announcements coming down the pike. Like this is the time frame where all of the schedules start firming up. Like you said, you're putting your clients in a prep and stuff like that going into January 1st. That's what everybody wants to do. They want to start their prep right out the gate, all that kind of stuff. So the final list of shows did come out for all of the pro shows. Um, One of the things that we can talk about with the bikini list is it's quite a few less shows than what we're used to seeing.
Yeah.
So we kind of talked about that when it came to the points list. One of the things we said was the only way this is going to reduce competitors at the Olympia is if there's less shows. Well, there's less shows. So maybe it will actually reduce the list a little bit too. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I had a feeling it was going to reduce. Especially with them moving the Olympia back to September.
Yep.
So I definitely think it's going to be smaller for sure. How by how much? Not obviously not sure. We're just going to have to kind of see the way it all plays out. But a lot of the top pros are competing still this season. I
Yes.
mean, look at Amy. She just did what 8 to 10 shows back to back, right? So I,
Yep.
I think that between less shows, the cutoff being moved up, and more top pros coming out and blocking, if you will, it's gonna definitely reduce it. Like I know for me, we have a tentative plan this season to come out like mid-year. So it's like the pros that were ready now are preparing for the Arnold, they're gonna come out like that first half of the season and then probably shut it down going into the Olympia. And then someone like me is gonna come out mid-season. So it's just kind of seeing the way that everybody starts to come out. Issa's saying that she's gonna be coming back out, she's gonna be doing shows before the Olympia. So I think that adds the heightened excitement of this new
Yeah.
point system and the approach. I really like the way that it has progressed so far. So we'll just kind of have to wait and see the way that the first, quarter goes with the
Yeah.
show season and kind of who's competing and not. And like I said, and like a lot of the top pros got into the Arnold. So I think that they are going to be competing, at least do a couple shows after that.
Yeah. And I'm wondering like the mentality because it does seem like the shift of the mentality this year is that people are competing more versus like last year they weren't. You know what I mean? Like nobody, like none of the top people from last year came out and competed at all. And like you said, we saw Amy continue to compete, Jasmine continue to compete, Ashley Kay, which she always does, but Ashley Kay came out, she's competing too. Laura Lee is competing again. All of your top names are coming back out and competing. Issa, like you just mentioned, all of them, they're all doing it. So it's interesting to see that that mentality has shifted, and I'm kind of curious as to why the mentality has shifted. I have a feeling, just this is what my thought process is we've talked about this several times. Nobody at the Olympia was on at 100%. So I think a lot of these top pros realize they can't just sit back and wait. They got to come out and they got to make improvements, and they've got to show their best. They've got to get that feedback and realize they can't just show up at the Olympia and win. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it is interesting, and I have thoughts about both. If you asked
Yeah.
me a year and a half, 2 years ago, I would say if you won the Olympia, you probably shouldn't be coming out mid-year,
Mhm.
right? Keep your standard the standard, and don't expose yourself through the year. However, I think a couple of different things are happening now. I think that with the added division of fit model, the look of bikini is going to transform and change a little bit.
Yep.
So those top athletes need to get on stage to almost get the feedback of what the judges are going to be looking for at the Olympia with these new fresh eyes of what they want the bikini look to look like.
Hmm.
And I just think the talent's getting better every single season. Every single athlete just continues to get better and better. I mean, the ones that aren't, their placings are reflective of that. They're dropping down. So, it's just you have to almost show up just to check in on yourself. How many athletes do we look at and speculate based off a photo that we see with them just individually without anybody standing next to them? And we talk about this on the podcast all the time. They're much more exposed when you're standing next to someone else.
Yep.
I know Laura Lee mentioned on her podcasts and YouTubes and things like that. She wishes that she came out a little bit last year so that she would have had that feedback of, not overshooting or undershooting and things like that. That's really your only way to really know where you're at and how you're going to compare.
Yeah, and it's like a year off stage for a bikini girl that's at the top is a long time. You
A
know, it's
really
a
long
long
time.
time. It's like you kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? You sit back and I can't think of the word I'm looking for. It's like you rest in your laurels a little bit. Like you just assume when you come back out, you're good. You know what I mean? Versus like if you come out and you actually test yourself and you're like battle ready. It's the same thing. Like you take any other sport, you don't just automatically roll into the championships. Like college football is a perfect example right now. They got the playoffs going on right now. Like you don't just roll into a national championship. You have to play through the whole season and play the playoffs, or anything like that. You fine tune your skills and everything during all of those games. It's the same thing here. You're fine tuning your skills, and if you just sit back and say, "No, I'm just going to play the championship game," okay, but like you haven't played all season, so you don't know what you're going to play. You don't know how you're going to play.
Yeah, and I think that, feedback gets a little bit confusing here, right? If you're
Mhm.
winning a show and, especially the Olympia, and let's say that your feedback is this is the perfect amount of muscle, don't grow anymore. And
Yeah.
so you carry that with you into a 1 year off season and you're basically just trying to maintain, but all these other athletes that just place underneath you are growing and they
Yep.
are getting better, right?
Yep.
So now the question is, did they surpass you? Or did you do a really good job maintaining and that's still enough? And I
Yep.
just don't think that you know the answer to that question until you get compared because
Yep.
every body is so different. And the way that everybody's developing is so different. So it changes the look of things.
Yep.
I am surprised by some of the athletes that are competing at the Arnold. I thought that a lot of people or more people were going to take some more time off this season
Yeah.
to, make improvements or grow this or that or the other. I think the list is fantastic though. I think it's a really good spread of, a lot of good talent that came up last year too.
Hmm.
So, but again, it's early in the season, but again, the Olympia was moved up. So we don't have as much time this year between the Arnold and the Olympia that we did the last 3 to 4 years since
Yeah.
2020, really. So it's just, now we have the point system that's changing things. We have the timeline that's changing things. We have less shows. So all three of these things are really, really big into who's going to be stepping on the Olympia stage and how they're going to progress and look.
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be an interesting year. I'm curious. Like I said, I'm curious. Like it was already apparent it was gonna be different this year, just because of the people we saw come out and compete. Like I said, like Jasmine and now we've got Laura Lee coming back and all that kind of stuff too, which I do think is the right move for her too. Plus, she's always said she loves the Arnold anyway. That's like her favorite show to compete in, so that makes sense too. Before we go into the fit model stuff, we could just go into the Arnold lineup. I actually have it sitting right here. They've got the UK Arnold as well, but that one's like a couple weeks after the regular Arnold. So was there anybody on this list that you were surprised to see?
Um, yes. I mean, surprised in the way of I was surprised to see Tiana Weymouth on there. Like, I
Yeah.
didn't know that she applied, so I was
Yeah.
I was happy and excited for her. But again, that's one that came up last season. She headed to her first Olympia, so big opportunity for her. She's knocking out two, big shows within a year of each other, which is amazing.
Yep.
Everybody else, no, not shocked at all.
Yeah.
Zen Chen, she's really high up in the China shows, the Asia
Yep.
shows. I've competed against her several times. She's super good. Shannon Ramos, representing Brazil, I
Yep.
believe. So that one was perfect. Marie Eve, that's Drew's athlete, bottom right hand corner. If you're looking at the lineup from Arnold, she's from Canada, so we were really excited for her. She won Tampa Pro last year. I know that she's very humble to be invited. Even more humble, she was invited to both. She's in both the UK as well. So everybody else though wasn't shocked. Not
Yeah.
shocked at all. I think it's going to be very interesting. Obviously, Phoebe's coming back out. This is her show. She loves the Arnold. I know from Jamie, she's having a very smooth prep. She's ready ahead of time early. And I know this is new for Phoebe, so I'm excited to see the new Phoebe. We talked a couple of podcasts ago, Sean, you mentioned the hip shift is better and the glute size and whatnot. So I'm really excited to see her come back out and strut her stuff. Not only is she an amazing athlete, obviously with the physique and physically, but her stage presence and posing, and she brings it. She brings a look. So really, like, there's a good a handful in here. It could be anybody's game. And
Yeah.
then our reigning champion is not here this season,
Yeah.
Vanya. So she's still dealing with her back injury, which I'm assuming is why she's not here. So
Yep.
it's an open playing field.
Yeah, it is. It's, and you just brought something interesting with Marie Eve with the being from Canada. So I think that's something they actually take into account when they're picking people. So for those of you that don't know, when it comes to the Arnold, you do have to submit like a resume and everything in order to actually apply for the Arnold. So I do think the fact that they've got a few people from like Canada, like I said, China, Brazil, all those kinds of places, UK, that makes a difference. Like they want to bring people in that are not just from the US. So regardless of your resume and like your wins and things like that, where you're from and things like that do matter in this particular lineup as well. So they want to make it an international show. It's the Bikini International, right? Um, so that's a good like note to make there. Also, this Juliana Choro, whatever, I can't pronounce her last name. I'm assuming she's the one that won the Arnold Amateur last year.
I'm
So
assuming too.
yeah, so whenever you win the Arnold Amateur, you're automatically invited the next year to compete with the pros. So what a lot of people will do is when they win the overall, they will just wait, and this will be their pro debut, that kind of
Yeah.
thing. So I'm assuming that's with her. I did look her up, and there's nothing on NPC News Online about her, so I'm assuming this is her pro debut as well. Um, that's the thing. Also, like NPC News Online never has the results from the Arnold on there, so like her results weren't on there from the Arnold Amateur. So I'm assuming that's who she is.
Yeah.
That's because that's the only name I don't know.
Yep.
But this is a really good opportunity for somebody like that to come out and be up against the top pros. Like I would 100% do it. Like with zero, obviously zero expectation or anything like that. But if you happen to do well, like that's awesome. It's a great way to have a pro debut.
Yeah, that would be a fantastic pro debut, and it's an
Yeah.
amazing show. You guys know I did it last year. It was an amazing experience. It's probably my favorite show I've ever done.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would definitely take that opportunity with flying colors. You have nothing to lose. You have everything to gain. And you will gain. You will gain an amazing experience. Like they take care of the athletes so well. I've never been treated so well before. So I'm excited for her, really for everybody. The Arnold last year was a beautiful experience backstage with the girls. It's just so intimate because there's only 12 of you, if all 12 make it. There's only 12 of you. So I think last year we had 10. So it's smaller, it's more intimate. You get a lot of time together backstage. The backstage setup is really cool. Everybody is exposed to, equipment backstage. At the Olympia, you're really only exposed to that at the night show if you make it
Yeah.
there. So
Yeah.
it's just another level of competition. However, for all the athletes listening, it is just another show, right? That's
Yeah.
what, as athletes, we have to tell ourselves before a major show like this. Like, yes, it's the Olympia, yes, it's the Arnold, but it is just another show. That way we don't freak ourselves out.
Yeah.
But the special one about this one is just like Sean said, it's an invite only. And so, as an athlete, you have to put together a resume. And, these are the only 12 athletes that we can see that have applied, but there are a lot more athletes that did and perhaps aren't going to come out and share that because it stings. It stings when you apply and obviously you don't get it. But yeah, like when I was putting together my resume, I made sure that, you talk about your accolades, but also why this means so much to you and what you're going to do with this opportunity. So, to be one of 12 that is selected is a huge opportunity. Think about the roundtable discussions of the people, which we don't know who chooses these athletes, right? I'm sure it's an extremely hard decision. So you have to shine very bright. And so each one of these athletes should be extremely proud of that.
No, absolutely. And like you said, I mean, it's just one of those shows that it is just another show, but it's still special.
Absolutely.
As you know, I mentioned this long before you ever went. I was like, it's my favorite show, and you'll find out when you finally get to go and all this kind of stuff. It's just like it's just run really clean and really like boom, boom, boom. You know when you have to be where, and it's just like that they take the athlete's needs into play above everything else. I feel like so.
Yes.
It's just a really really good experience overall. So for these girls and for anybody that's going, just to go, I really recommend you take a beat and just soak the whole thing in. You know what I mean? Like I say it all the time whenever we're talking about competing, just in general. You never know, this could be your last show. If this is your last show, what don't you want to experience it like this? So yeah, it's a really. Speaking of which, are you going to go this year?
I am. I'm going. Obviously Marie Eve's there, so Drew's going to be there as a coach this year. Um, Getting emotional. So proud of him. He's had an amazing year as a coach, and when we got the invite, I mean, just his face was priceless. I'll never forget it. So super proud of him. So it's going to be different this year. Being there as a
Yeah.
spectator. Supporting Drew. Him and Jamie are going to go themselves by themselves to the UK.
Okay.
Tickets are over 2K per person and coach to get there. So we were going to go all four of us, but that does not make sense. So yeah, so I definitely want to be there for him for the Columbus version. So I'm excited to be there just as a spectator. First time I was there was when I was competing, which was an amazing experience, but I've never had the other experience. So
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, that's cool. Like, I've told you that's my favorite show every year. That's the first real bodybuilding show I ever went to back in 2010. So, it's like my show every year, even above the Olympia. I've said it 1,000 times. I just like the experience of the show so much better. And just like, the simple things too, like we talk about with everything being attached to the convention center, it just feels like one big happy family the whole time you're there. You know what I mean? Everybody's centralized in one location, and it's just, I don't know. It's just a really good experience. So if you guys are at all thinking about going to the show, I suggest going just for the experience alone. But yeah, so going back to the lineup itself. It's going to be interesting because, I think most people would think going into this, because Vanya's not in it, I would think most people would think that Laura Lee is your biggest competition because she's won it 3 times. You know what I mean? But coming out of the Olympia, I mean, that was her lowest placing she's ever had at the Olympia, being outside the top 5. So this is a good chance for her to redeem herself. And she's always talked about, being like the dark horse and all that kind of stuff, the one that she does the best when she's in that weaker position point. You know what I mean? So I really think if anybody is sleeping on her, they shouldn't. You know what I mean? And then outside of her, when you look at the lineup, I would say your next in line would be Ashlyn, because she took second at the Olympia. You know, but she's never really done that, like above, top 3 kind of thing at this show. So, there's a lot of things. And Amy's just come off of a tear of winning a bunch of shows, so she could be considered your front runner. I mean, there's just a lot of things here that could just go. And Ashley just came back and won a bunch of shows too, even though she was outside of what her typical placing at the Olympias too. So again, going back to what we said at the beginning of this, I think a lot of these girls just realized going into the Olympia that was not their best, and they got to come back and they got to hit it and hit it hard and redeem themselves here. So I really think this is going to be one of these shows where the girls are like, no, fuck this. I'm going to show you guys exactly what I can do.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I mean, I think we can all agree the Olympia was a little weird, right? Like
Mhm.
nobody was really on their best that day. Tyler did his recap, so everybody can, kind of put themselves together there. But yeah, I think this is everybody's time to go, okay, I made some improvements. I enjoyed my holidays. I'm
Yep.
going to show up 100%, and just like you said, with Laura Lee, she has a new coach now. So we have
Mhm.
that fresh perspective. She's on a tear now. And and Laura Lee has said this too in her YouTube videos. Like she's been here before. She's been at the bottom before and she'll find her way back up. She thrives at this point. This is what keeps her coming and excelling since 2017 when she started, right? So that there's nothing more powerful than an athlete and a coach that has something to prove. So
Mhm.
I think that's, really cool, and then Phoebe as well, she's coming back with a new coaching staff. She
Yep.
also wants to, come back improved, has a point to prove. And I think all of these things behind the scenes are really beautiful, because
Yeah.
it is going to push everyone to really show up and do their best. And again, the Arnold is such an amazing opportunity to have a really calm weekend. You don't feel the stress and the hustle and bustle like you do the Olympia. So it's such a great opportunity to kind of see what these athletes can really bring.
Yeah. And I'm hoping that this year for the show, we get more people coming out and doing more like YouTube stuff, behind the scenes stuff going into the show. Because again, we talked about this again going to the Olympia this past year. We didn't have any of that from anyone. Like nobody was doing YouTube behind the scenes stuff. They're training, they're whatever. They're not doing podcast. Nobody. There was there was no talk at the Olympia this past year. And I think that kind of hurt everybody too. Like there's this concept of keeping yourself accountable even through social media. You know what I mean? Like if you're not keeping yourself accountable, like you're gonna slip a little bit. You're not gonna be as sharp. You're not gonna be as ready and ready to fire like we talked about at the beginning of this, and ready to go at the championship game. So I hope that a lot of these people kind of learned from that, and maybe they'll come out and do some more like road to the Arnold kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, definitely when I started that series 2 years ago, that was a huge push for me, with
Yeah.
social media and my fan base. And I get it from the athlete standpoint. It's a fuck ton of work. It sucks to have to set up a camera every time you do something. And why people want to see the same meal that I eat times a row, 5 days a week, I have no idea, but they do. And I respect it, like I want to give my fans what they want to see, but like, if I didn't have Nikki, I wouldn't do the
Yeah.
Road to Olympia series. It's enough work as it is, like I said, just to set up a camera, which I know sounds ridiculous, but it is. It takes time out of your day, it takes time out of your training, it slows you down. And for someone like me that moves a million miles a minute at all times, it's annoying, right?
Yeah.
So but I remember at the end of the day that this is a choice and it's a privilege and this is part of the job, so but I love the Road to O series myself. I love it to see it in other athletes. I think it's cool to kind of see behind the scenes what we're all doing and also how different it is. How different we all prep and we all get to the same look on stage, but we do it completely different ways and it's so beautiful that way. And I know the fans love it too. We just talked about that Olympia show or video that just came out and it wasn't quite what everybody was expecting because more people just want to see what the athletes are doing behind the scenes. What better way to do this through YouTube, but
Yep.
again, people think like we get paid for this. We don't. We spend money on this. I spend money on Nikki to make my content creation. I don't get any money out of YouTube. It's me simply giving back to my fan base, right? So it sucks because I get both sides, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's more positive than negative. So that's
Yeah.
why I keep doing it.
I would say it's more of an investment versus spending, you know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
like that's a really good point. Like going into the Olympia, we talked about like no hype from people not doing anything, you know what I mean? And it's like there's no investment into that athlete's fan base or whatever. So people just kind of fall off. The beautiful thing about bodybuilding in general is not the shows, it's the people in them. And that's what we talked about with the Olympia movie being such a letdown because they didn't focus on the people doing it. You know what I mean? So like the reason why bodybuilding became popular in the first place is because of Arnold. Everybody wanted to know what Arnold was going to do next. That's people invest in a person, not in the show, right? So as an athlete, you have to remember, like, it does suck, like you said, especially when you just want to go in your hole and put on your blinders and not pay attention to anything else. But part of the reason why you're successful as an athlete too is because of the people that support you too. So it's a give and take in that regard too. And you just got to remember, the more that you invest into your fans, the more that that's going to invest back into you as well. So it's like you said, a give and take in that regard too. So I'm hoping, like I said, once we get into this new year, we'll see some more stuff like that. Like a really good example is, since we're on this topic, is classic physique, Sam Sulek. So Sam Sulek is doing his pro debut at the Arnold as well, because he won the amateur last year. Everybody's saying like Sam shouldn't be doing this, blah 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 blah, because he's not ready. Fuck that shit. Like, he's doing it because his freaking fans love him and wanted to do the Arnold. Like, he's like the next coming of Seabaum when it comes to freaking social media, as far as that's concerned. You know what I mean? There's that intrinsic value to it too, not just winning the title as well. So I believe he's doing it because everybody that is a fan of him wants to see him do it. And like we just talked about before, that's a fantastic way to make your pro debut. You get up next to these guys who are the top in the sport, and then you know what you need to do in order to improve after that. So I say go for it. I think that's gonna actually bring a really big draw to classic physique, which we saw I would say a little bit of a dip from that this past year because C1 was out, but really not that bad because the other athletes around him have kind of built themselves up around him as well. So again, going back to, this is an investment in the sport itself. Everybody kind of lifts each other up in that regard.
Well, and that's another flip side to the topic too is, people that are putting themselves out there on social media, there's always going to be the other side of the people, the people that praise and love, and then
Yeah,
there's going to be the other side of the people that, want to put their 2 cents in, or even pull down and are negative and, talk really mean, or put words in people's mouth or twist people's words. And I know this has happened to me, and I know it happens to other athletes. We talk about it backstage. It's like we give so much of our lives and our personal lives, and then when we see that negative comment, or someone, why would they do that? Or they don't look as good. Like, how do you think that makes the athlete feel? You think that makes the athlete feel like they want to continue to put their camera up and,
yeah,
share more about their private life?
yeah,
And I think this is getting worse right now for some reason. It's been pretty bad since the Olympia, all the stuff on Reddit. I don't have Reddit anymore, but people still send me stuff. And I'm like, I don't need to see this. If it's not nice, I don't want to look at this.
yeah.
But how do you think that makes someone like me feel as an athlete that does put so much of my life out there, and then somebody twists something or says something and it's hurtful,
Mhm.
So it makes people not want to show anymore. And it's just funny because at the end of the day, like, I'm human, I make mistakes, or, I'm living my life to what makes me happy. And maybe you don't agree with that, and that's okay. But like, I'm not judging you, and
Yeah,
it's difficult. And that's the other part of it too, right? Like, so Sam has this huge fan base. He's huge on social media. 50% of the people, maybe even more than that, are going to be like, yes, we want to see you on stage. And the other half are going to say, you're too small. Why you're doing this? And at the end of the day, like, what does him stepping on stage affect you, right? He's doing it for himself and trying to better himself or his social media or his fan base. Like, it does nothing for you. So, I'm just trying to, I told you guys I was doing a little social media hiatus. That's why. Like, I'm just trying to live my life, live authentically, try to figure out how I want to show up on social media, like what I'm really proud of. And it's sometimes you have to take that step back to know, like, how to push forward.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't understand all the hate and negativity. It's I guess it's just this time of year, which it shouldn't be. It's like the happiest time of year, the holidays and things like that. But I think this is just a really vulnerable sport. And then people just, they're those keyboard warriors with those anonymous screen names. It's sad. It's hurtful.
Well, and I think it's not even, I don't think it's even regulated to online anymore. Like, I see it all the time. Like, just traveling back from the holidays, like, people just have no social concept of manners anymore. I'm just like, bro, like, can you just freaking wait a second? Like, I just, it blows my mind, the the number of people that are just rude for no reason. And it's like I said, it's not even just online, it's in real life. Like, good
Yeah.
lord, guys, like, it's not that serious. Like, that happened when I was going through security, or to drop my bags. A woman just cut right in front of me and went up to the thing or whatever, and the lady at the gate was like, aren't you priority? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine, don't worry about it. She clearly was in a much bigger rush than I was. I'm not gonna lose sleep over it. I'm like, I was like, she said, man, she's like, the girl at the gate. She was like, you just wouldn't believe the day I've been having. I was like, oh, I believe it. I said, the most wonderful time of the year. I said, manners go out the fucking window. She goes, right? Good lord, it's like crazy. Just act like a normal human. Like I think we've lost a lot of that, and it's sad. And like the same thing you said. I've kind of been on a little bit of a social media hiatus too. I mean, I used to post every day. I barely post like twice a month at this point. You know what I mean? I'm like, I just don't. I don't have a specific, like you said, kind of driver that's pushing me to do that. But also, it's just so much more peaceful when I don't give a shit about anybody else. You know what I mean? Like you guys can just go off and be negative together because I don't want to. I don't want to participate in that. And more often than not, it is very negative across the board. Like it's nobody wants to lift each other up anymore, and it's just sad.
Yeah, we were talking about that on over the holidays. It's almost like you take these huge life events like 9/11 and COVID, right? And then how the nation comes together and is united. And then so quickly we forget that. Not only do we forget it, we're not a united front, we're attacking. And it's,
Yes.
and it's for what purpose, right? Like I truly feel like there's so much success for all of us to go around. Like Sean's success doesn't affect me and vice versa. And like when we really start understanding that, it's going to be a much better place, right? And it's funny because, we put ourselves out there on social media or wherever, and then we get these, negative feedback loops with positive ones too. So then we pull back on posting, and then the next narrative is, well, they don't post anymore. And then they
Right.
want to see more of the content. And so it makes it very confusing as a
Yeah.
content curator what the hell direction to go. And like I said, like I've been talking a lot about this a lot with top pros that are putting out YouTubes, and like we all feel the same way, but we just don't know how to navigate that pressure of do this, don't do that. You should
Yeah.
do this. Oh no, you shouldn't do that. And it's like, which one is it?
Yep.
And I don't think that's ever gonna be solved, but I just think that people could just take a breath more and before they write or send something, is this positive? Is this going to affect this person? How is it going to affect them? How does this affect me? Like just taking a more of like a breath to think about this. I don't know. It's sad. It's really
Yeah, it's
sad.
it's hard because, like you said, like we were just talking about that. We want to see more from our athletes, but then we understand why we don't see more from our athletes. You know what I mean? It's like it's a
Yeah.
really hard place to be in. And then also, like I see this a lot. I've started unfollowing people because they're just posting clickbait because that's the only way you can get people to actually engage with your content. You have to post clickbait in order to get people to engage with you initially. So again, I understand that push pull because they want to bring genuine content, but in order for anybody to see it, you have to post rage bait, basically, and it's like it's just crazy how much this social media algorithm has affected our day-to-day life. It really
Yeah.
is. It's like the more that I see it, the more I just tune out from it. And I think that's the hard part.
I'd just like to take a
Yeah.
moment to welcome our new channel partners, Prozis. If you are unfamiliar with them, go ahead and go down into my description box now, click on the link, go check out their site. They are the leading supplement sports nutrition company based out of Portugal, been around for 17 years. You might be asking what makes Prozis unique? Well, everything that they make is made in-house or with trusted partners. They have to go through rigorous testing in Portugal in order to even get any products on the market. So what you're going to find really high quality, pure supplementation. And one of the biggest things for me is I have some GI issues. So being able to eat some of these more healthy protein treats and things like that and not have any gut issues, worth its weight in gold. Go check them out. Click on the link in my description box below. Use the code Cuties10 to get all of your discounts and even some special surprises. They're always putting out some amazing promotions. Let them know that I sent you and let me know what you think. Thanks again for watching and thank you for supporting our channel. Now, go optimize your own athletic abilities and check out Prozis.com.
That's the hard part.
Yeah. And so like that's the really long explanation of why I think there's less YouTube videos going on, but I
Right,
think
that's a
it's
little
I
bit
think
of
it's
tangent.
important so people realize like if you can post a positive comment or spread positivity to a curator, do it cuz
Yeah.
more than often right now when all of us talk, we're sharing more of how sad it makes us feel and how much we don't want to post because we just feel like it's not getting reciprocated the right way. So I feel like if more people were to spread more positivity, and that's the thing too, is like more people are going to speak up about something negative than they are about positive. And that's what I try to always remember as a business owner. Like, I'm going to get a bad review probably before somebody walks out the door, like, wow, that was an amazing experience. They just keep that in their head and refer their friend. But then somebody that has a bad experience, it's like, oh, I want to put all the bad reviews out there and I'm going to tell everybody about it. Right. So, if you can share
Absolutely.
one great comment or one emoji that's something positive, it really does make all the difference.
It does. Well, and we talked about this as business owners too. I'm like, it really, like we were just saying at the beginning of this, we want people to have a good experience with what we do, and it hurts when people are mean and backbiting about it. It's like, I guarantee you that you're, at least with us and like people I know, I guarantee we weren't trying to do something negative towards you. You know what I mean? We were trying to make things right, trying to make things good. Shit happens sometimes, things don't go according to plan sometimes. It is what it is. Understand that we were trying to make the best possible experience and outcome for you as we could. And like, some people just can't see that, and they just go off, for no reason. It's like, bro, like, just chill for a second. Like you said, take a breath. Take a breath for a second. Put yourself in our position, in our shoes, like we try to do with you. And then we're gonna try to make it right. At the end of the day, we try to make whatever we can. We try to make it right. So just realize that that's gonna be our promise to you. But it hurts us a whole lot more than it's gonna hurt like somebody on freaking Amazon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's like, Jesus Christ. Like, what do we do? Do we kick your puppy or something? Like, I don't.
Yeah. It becomes a personal attack, right?
Yeah,
Because and that's the thing, is like most of us are putting our life and what we
yeah,
do day to day. And if we feel extremely judged by that or put down, it's like, oh, okay, well, I'm not gonna post anything because I don't want anybody to take it a negative way. And
yeah.
yeah, it's just a really it's difficult to navigate. But I will say too, like the people that reach out when you do make a reel and they're like, oh my gosh, this was so helpful. Thank you. Like those weigh a lot too, because there's some content I post or stories I post, and people are like, thank you so much for sharing this. And I'm like, oh, I didn't think this was going to have a big impact. I just thought this was just another, whatever. So it
Mhm.
does. It just, those, like I said, the positivity just really makes all the difference. And I know that I talk to a lot of people right now that are feeling kind of that down, gloom, emotional type feeling. I think the Olympia was really hard for a lot of athletes. And I know for me, especially, we're going through times of mourning. And I know for a lot of athletes too, it's kind of hard for us to want to prep again this year.
Yeah.
Pretty much everyone I'm talking to is feeling the same way. Um, this is a tough sport, guys. This is a really tough sport.
Yep, it is. Well, and that can kind of segue into what we're going to talk a little bit about with the schedule for fit model shows too, because the final schedule came out, all the international shows, things like that, and immediately the biggest complaint was that there's not a lot of European shows. There's like, I think the first one's in like July, and then there's like a handful. There's not a lot. Where there's a significant amount actually is in Asia, like South Korea, China, that kind of thing, which when you start thinking about beauty standards, that makes complete sense. I mentioned this when I competed in Japan. It was like when the way that finals was set up, they had pro bikini, pro men's physique, and open bodybuilding. So bikini went first. When we finished, we went out to the lobby and we were doing pictures and stuff. And then a few minutes later, the doors open and it was like everybody was leaving. It was like, oh, the show must be over. Let's go get our judging feedback. We go into the auditorium. No, men's physique had just finished and open bodybuilding was going on stage. Literally 2/3 of the audience left. They were there for men's physique and bikini. They were not there for open men's bodybuilding, which typically is flipped, as we know. So, but when we're talking about Asian beauty culture and standards and things like that, it leans more towards that softer, more beautiful, feminine kind of look. You know what I mean? So the fit model look is 100% popular in their eyes. You know what I mean? So it makes a big it makes sense. It makes sense. And then when you look at Europe, what do we always say about European competitors?
Big girls, big and
Bigger,
shredded.
harder. That's right. So it makes sense why we don't have a lot of fit model shows over there. Also, the thing you have to take into account for Europe is that they have the IFBB Elite.
Correct.
So typically, the smaller girls are doing IFBB Elites, not IFBB Pro. So they're doing their fit model stuff over in that particular federation versus the IFBB Pro federation. So that's two like big like docks against fit model over in Europe. We've said this before. You said I should go compete in Europe because I'm bigger, harder, all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So you compare better over in Europe. That's not fit model. That's
Yeah.
just not the look. So I think that's affecting it too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it makes perfect sense, in terms of the bodies in those regions. I guess the question is what happens next year, right? After the
Mhm.
first year, maybe there's more shows that are added, but as of right now where it sits, I think it makes sense as to the bodies that kind of live in those areas.
Yeah, and you
It's
have to
gonna
remember
s-
too, like we had national shows here in the States for Fit Model. Didn't have those over in Europe.
right.
So there's only a handful of pros that actually are in Europe. Just a handful. Like
Yeah.
everybody, it was funny because I was clicking through and everybody that was saying that they were upset about the number of Fit Model Pro shows over there. I'm looking at their bio and it says first Fit Model in Russia, first Fit Model in Europe, Italy, first Fit Model and I'm like, okay, so you're one of one. Like, you know what I mean? Like you start thinking about it that way. You can't build shows on a couple of athletes. You can't do it. So um, and then, like I said, like we have zero Fit Model Pro shows in South America, none,
Yeah.
because that's the wellness capital,
Right.
right?
Yeah, it
So
doesn't. Yeah.
again, I mean, it's the bodies that are there. Like I don't even know how many Fit Model Pros they made in South America, maybe a handful. You know, you
If
can't.
that.
Yeah, you can't create pro shows off of a handful of athletes, and like girls from the States are not going to travel to go to all these shows and around the world. They're just not going to do that. Now, give it a few years, 5, 10 years, that'll be a different story once this picks up a little bit of steam and we see it and we have more pros to actually fill these shows. But you also can't fault promoters because they know they're not going to make money on it. They're not going to have any athletes.
Yeah.
The same problem happened with the wellness shows over the last few years. Like we've had like 3, 4, 5 girls show up. That's when you talk about sanction fees, you're spending $1,000 an athlete to have a sanction. It's crazy.
Yeah, well, I think something else too is, they need to keep in mind they don't want it to get like bikini was the last couple of
Yeah.
years with too many shows, and
Yeah.
now we have too many athletes that are stepping on the Olympia stage. So you're right. While the market is not there, it doesn't make sense to put Fit Model Pro shows in these regions just yet.
Yeah.
But when more are added, perhaps those are considered first. If we have a good amount in the States, then we kind of pop one in Europe, pop one, and you know what I mean? But I think too, they kind of learned their lesson. That's a really poor way of saying it over the last couple of years of like, what is too much and
Yeah.
what should the proper amount be for shows in order to get the appropriate amount of athletes on the Olympia stage. Like for me, I know we've talked about this. Like I don't think there should be more than 40 athletes on the
Mhm.
Olympia stage. I think
Mhm.
I think that over that is a lot. I even think 40 is kind of a lot.
Yep.
So in order to do that, you have to bring the cutoff earlier in the season and have this many shows in order to make sure that we only get so many bodies on stage. So yeah, we'll see. It's going to continue to progress from here. I know. So Japan is the first one, right?
Yeah, Japan's the first one. Yep. Yep. I can't remember the date on that, but I think is it February? I think it's February.
Yeah, I think it's February, and I know Sandy's going and going to be judging that one. So yeah, we're going to start with that first one of the year and go from there.
Well, the other thing I'm pulling it up now. The other thing we got to think of with this stuff too is like we've talked about this several times with the shows here in the States. We don't have a specific look for Fit Model yet, right?
No.
This year with Fit Model Pros, we're trying to create the actual look for the division. So
Yeah.
you got to take that over into these other countries who haven't had a lot of pros made. Period. Like even their pros over there probably don't fit the standard that Fit Model is eventually going to be. Right. So you can't start making these pro shows, inviting people to the Olympia that if they were here in the States wouldn't even win a pro card.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
like
The
you've
States
got to
needs to
build it
be the
up
one to
first.
give the example so that everybody else
Right.
gets on board and
That's
knows
right.
what that looks like. And we still haven't had that direct person yet to be able to say, this is it, this is what we're striving for.
That's
So
right.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. So the first one is Japan, and that's February 28th. So right before the Arnold.
Arnold. That's right.
And
And
that's
then she's flying from there to the Arnold,
yeah.
if I remember right. Yeah.
And there's Taiwan. So the first two shows, Asian, right?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Taiwan's April 5th. So there's nothing from February until April.
Okay.
And then there's Wasatch, which is the first one in the States. So it's
Yep.
Wasatch, and then there's Emerald Cup, Emerald Cup is just Masters. No open.
Masters Fit Model.
Yeah. Masters
Okay.
over 40. Because Emerald Cup is a Masters pro show.
Yes.
So there's no open pros at that one. So that's the fourth one on the list. So the majority of the shows that are here in the States are Florida based, the majority of them, which makes sense. Again, the densest population for competitors in general. So you're seeing a theme here.
Yeah.
The places that have the most competitors are the ones that have the shows.
Right. Which makes
Makes
sense from a
sense.
business standpoint for sure.
It makes sense. It makes
Yep.
sense. So, I told Jamie, I was like, I'm thinking about doing a show in like either South Korea or Taiwan, just to do it, just because I love the Japan Pro that I did and things like that. So it'll be fun. I'll be the biggest girl on stage again, but that's okay. Like they all come up to here on me, but
As long as you're realistic about it, right? That's what we tell all our athletes. We'll take you there as long as you're realistic about
That's right. That's right.
it.
Well, and that's, we talked about this before too. It's like we just said this about the Arnold. It's about the experience of the show. You know what I mean? And like some of these Asian shows are off the freaking chain. And it's just like if you're gonna spend the time, the money, the effort, I want to do it right.
Of course, for sure. That is something I haven't done is compete overseas. So we'll see if that
Oh,
gets on my
you still haven't done that.
no.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. That was Amy's bucket list for this year. So obviously she did those couple of shows, which was cool. But yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see if it's just so hard for me. It's so hard for me to get away from the States for my athletes mid-season. It's hard for me from a career standpoint.
Yeah, that makes sense. And
Yeah.
when you do that kind of a trip too, like you want to spend a few days like actually enjoying
Yeah.
the culture and everything as well. Like that's what I did in Japan, stayed there for a week. So it's like you want to enjoy it while you're there.
Yeah.
Like you gotta put it in a time frame where you can actually enjoy the experience.
Yeah. Make it make sense. Exactly.
Yeah, right. Well, it's funny you just mentioned that with Amy too, because we were on this topic of the bigger, harder, stronger, all that kind of stuff. It was really clear when we'd see athletes like Amy or like Jasmine go over to Europe and compete and just see how much smaller they were than the girls in Europe. It's just
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. So when you're saying smaller, you mean like shorter, right?
No, I mean like muscle
Muscle.
wise, density and conditioning and roundness and fullness and everything. They're just smaller. They look like the European competitors look like they're in a bigger division.
Yeah, they are like denser, bigger, and that's the thing about Amy too, like genetically, we were just talking about this last night. She just has like that round, pretty muscle and it's unique.
Yep.
Not a lot of athletes have that.
Yeah.
I was just talking to Drew about this yesterday. I've never seen her shredded. She never
Yeah.
has to get peeled because she just has that beautiful, round, dense muscle. So it's just she's an outlier in that way because she's so unique. Um, she's one of my favorite physiques, obviously. It's just hard to compare her because
Right.
she's so unique, right? But I was proud of her for doing that. Like she literally just got her passport this past season because she wanted to
Yeah.
go. And it's a lot for Amy to travel. She's talked about that before. So I was super proud of her. And they made a whole trip out of it for a couple weeks. And just like you said, like
Yeah.
if I'm gonna do that, I want to make it like a trip. But I can't do something like that until like this point of the season when nothing's
Yeah.
really going on. And then after this year's Olympia, I'll probably be done. So we'll kind of see. We'll see if I make it out there. If I did, I have a feeling it would be after the Olympia, like one of those like European shows, like right after, and
Yeah.
then kind of end my season on that note. But we'll see.
Yeah, you should. I mean, that's like I said about that before. They used to do that. Like all the top Olympia competitors prior to COVID and all that. What they would do is right after the Olympia, they would go on like a little European tour and do all the
Yeah.
all the European shows. Just
Yeah.
like what Amy did this year. Just same thing.
Yeah.
Same
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. I mean, Ashley did that too. Ashley did a bunch
Yes.
of shows overseas too. So that was that for me. That was a little bit nostalgic too because again, that's what they used to do. They all used to do that. Like every one of them. Like it was almost like it was like a little troop. They would all go
Yeah.
go overseas and compete, which was good because it kept the standards in line over and overseas too.
Right.
It was rare we would see a competitor from Europe, which I can understand that sucks, but it was rare we would see a competitor from Europe surpass anybody from the US because it kept the standards in line. I mean, that's part of it. Like you got
Yeah.
to keep everything in line.
Goes back to what we were just talking about. Like the US is the one that creates the standards because
Yeah.
the federation lives here. So,
Right.
it would be odd if we all went over there and then, we're not the standard at that
That's right.
point, right? So that's what makes it a little bit more of a fight out there for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, it's like, again, that's why they come here and when they come to the States, they don't do as well because they just haven't been up against this kind of standard over here.
Yeah, but then they come over here too to get compared as well, right? We were just talking about the beginning of the podcast with, the Arnold, like those girls have to step on stage with us, in the States, that they can see where their holes are, because they're not going to get that from the girl standing next to them in Europe, because they're all on the same playing field. They look the
Right.
same. So somebody that's really serious about, refining their physique to the US standard, that means you're going to have to come over here to step on some
Yep.
stages, keeping your expectations pretty minimal, coming with just the hope of, learning, peaking a little bit differently and learning your body, because most of these athletes are coming here and they're staying here for at least 4 weeks, 5, 6 weeks, and doing show to show to show all around the States.
Yep.
I love talking to those athletes, like the ones that
Yeah.
come here from Russia and Europe and stuff like that. And because most of the time we're doing the same shows together. So
Yeah.
it's cool to
It's
get to
true.
know them and, kind of, what did you fix from last week and what did you try new? And that's it. They're just trying to fine tune.
Sorry, my alarm went off.
She's back. That's okay.
I forgot about that alarm. Sorry, I'm back. But no, you're right. I was gonna say something. Oh, that, and I was gonna say, to kind of bring this back around too. It's like same concept with the fit model girls from Europe. I would say new pros that are over in Europe, plan on doing shows over here.
Yeah.
Plan on coming over here for a few shows this year. I get that you're upset. There's not a lot of pro shows over in Europe. Come to the US. And
Yeah.
that's your best way to see if you fit the standard.
Yeah. I think a lot more athletes are going to do that for sure going into this year's Olympia, based on everything we just talked about.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's going to be an interesting year. Like, this, as negative as the last few months have been since the Olympia, there's also a lot of really good things happening too. Like we said, with all of this travel and like the kind of being nostalgic and going back to how this stuff was prior to COVID and all of that kind of thing. You know what I mean? So I think there's some good things to kind of bring it all back around. There's some good things to take from all of this too. There's been some positive changes. We are going to see, I think, more competitive shows in general. I think it's going to be harder for people to get to the Olympia. Like all these things that we've talked about, we want to see. You know what I mean? I think those things are happening. So I think those things are good.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. I think with anything, like when you have a situation that doesn't go the way that you expect it to, for a lot of athletes, I think that's the only way to course correct and learn from the situation, right? We only know good from bad, or
Mm-hmm.
positive from negative. So I like I said, I've been talking to a lot of athletes. I think we all feel the same. It's been an emotional roller coaster since the Olympia, and we're all moving through it in our own way. I know I have really good days and really good days in a row, and then I have a really bad one where I'm mourning it and wondering if I even want to do this again, and going through all of those emotions. But at the end of the day, we're athletes, and this is part of it. The emotional side of it is part of it. I was just talking to Drew last night, and I was, we were talking about prep and this, that, or the other. And, I was like, what do you think about me prepping this year or not? And he's like, that's not a decision that I can make for you. And I was like,
Yeah.
well, I definitely think I need to prep like one more season. I'm just like, my head's not in it right now. And he's like, I definitely think you need to do one more season, Jay. Like, I think that, at win, lose, or draw, at the end of the day, like, you're an athlete. You're waking up tomorrow. You're going to train. You want to do cardio. You love it being hard. That's what we were talking about. We were talking about how we think this year's prep's probably going to be hard, because this is the longest I've had in an off season in a couple of years with my surgery and everything. He was like, I think it's going to be a little bit harder for you to get lean. I'm like, well, why do you say that? And he's like, what? You've never been afraid of hard work. Like, why is this deterring you? And I'm like, I don't know. I just think it's the emotional side of the Olympia. And, so it's just like all of these things. But that's, at the end of the day, I think that that's what people need to remember, going back to what we were saying earlier about like the comments. Like, we're machines and we're physical human bodied athletes, but so much of what we do is here, and we talk about that too with our athletes. Like, don't start a prep until this is locked in at 100%, or else the prep's just
Mm-hmm.
going to go south real fast, right? And I think that's
Mm-hmm.
what we're all working on right now, is getting this back at 100%, so that we can put on a show at next year's Olympia.
Absolutely. And it'll come. It'll come.
Yeah.
You just gotta let things kind of manifest in their own time. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Well,
Like,
even for you too, in the way that you were feeling the fit model schedule right now, that it's had time to digest and you kind of have your head wrapped around it and your schedule, you feel brighter about it.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's what it takes.
you just got to process it, and everybody processes things a little bit differently, and you got to go through all the emotions. You got to allow yourself to feel those things, because If you don't, you bottle them up, they manifest in other places. So, allow yourself to to have that mourning, to have that loss, to have all those things so that when you come out of it, you're ready to go,
Yeah, for sure. For
On a
sure.
random side note, I'm looking at, you just walked into the light. I'm like, your hair is so much darker than mine right now.
I know
I
I
was
haven't
like,
gotten colored since before the Olympia.
I'm like, this is completely flipped from me having black
Right?
hair. I'm
I
like,
know
good
I'm feeling like a
Lord.
little chestnut these days.
I like it. I like
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah, it's pretty. Like
It's
that's close to your
healthy.
natural? Is that
Yeah,
close to your natural?
this is my natural, and then
Okay.
I add the money pieces, but I
Yeah.
don't get it colored. I get it colored like twice a year when I'm not like actively competing. I actually see Kelly in February, but yeah, it's really really long right now and really soft. I'm actually pissed. I just got my extensions moved up twice within 2 weeks of
Okay.
each other because my extensions keep slipping out, but it's because my hair is so soft right now.
Soft.
So it's like
Yeah,
it's so
yeah,
soft and healthy. So literally my extensions like hanging on by thread right now. And I'm like, okay,
yeah.
well, that's the give and take of of healthy hair.
I wish I had that
Nutrafol
problem. I don't have that
works.
problem. I have that problem. I'm not gonna do it this week. I haven't done it since before Thanksgiving, but I've got to move my extensions up, and then I got to do my roots. So you can see my hair's a natural like ash blonde, so
Yeah.
it's not a pretty color. So I'm getting like I'm like, you can see like the brassiness and all that stuff too. I need to go through and touch the roots up and get the toner on it and all that kind of fun stuff.
Listen, I loved my blonde hair, but I did not miss that.
Yeah,
The
it's a lot of
brassy.
maintenance.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's like 2 weeks later. I'm like, get me as icy as possible. And then a week and a half later,
yeah.
I'm like, why is it yellow?
Yeah, it tends to be okay until I get to the last couple of weeks before I have to touch the roots up, and then it's just like no purple shampoo on earth is gonna help it,
No, no.
I'm like, and I'm trying to just touch up the roots on my top half and leave the bottom half because then it gets a little bit healthier because again it's being pulled on by the extensions and all that kind of stuff. So it is what it is. That's why I got rid of the blonde for so long because it's just so much more maintenance and it's so much harder to keep it healthy and all of that. So, but
Yeah.
K18 works really well.
K18, Nutrafol, having your period,
Yeah,
like all of the things.
there you go. But yeah, I was just looking at you because, like, again, you walked into the light. I was like, damn, her hair's dark in comparison to mine now. It's flipped completely.
It's very dark. I like it though. Little light
Uh-huh.
and dark
I do.
side.
Yeah, right. Listen. I've been there myself. You know that.
Had every color.
I have, except for like I would never do like a blue or a green or anything like that. That would just not be good.
Maybe I'll show up one day with a blue wig, throw all you guys for a loop.
You wear that for the like the formal for the gala or whatever.
Yes,
I'll go down for
exactly.
the blue Fit Body Fusion blue.
Exactly. That'd be fun.
Oh goodness. All right. Well, that was good to kind of end it on kind of a lighthearted note right there. So yeah, so we're going into the new year now. So and next up is just kind of chugging along like we always do. So with that said, we'll go ahead and wrap up for today. Thank you guys again so much for being supportive with us through all of this stuff. Comments, likes, all of the things, the subscriptions, all of the things. And thank you for sticking with us for another full year. And with that, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, guys. Another year. Crazy.
Another year. Yeah, Happy New
See you
Year.
guys in the
So
next year.
yeah, see you in 2026. So from
Yes.
behind the bikini, we are out. Bye guys.